All right, Ken, take it away.
Thank you. All right, it is, what day is it? It's April 6th of 2022. It's the correct time, and I'll call to order the meeting of the Middleton Westport Joint Zoning Committee. Looks like we should do a roll call if you would do that, Mark.
Okay, Dean is no longer on the zoning board because of his new position. So Cynthia Kennedy,
Present.
Kurt Paulson,
Here.
Ken Sipsma,
Here.
Randy Bruce,
Here.
and John Schaefer is not yet present, but we are expecting him in a little bit.
Okay. Sounds good. All right, we do have an item on the agenda before we have our public hearing, and that is the minutes of the February 23rd, 2022 meeting. If someone would like to take some action to approve those, that would be great.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from our prior meeting.
I will second. Paulson.
Thank you, Kurt. We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. Any discussion on those minutes, additions or corrections of any kind? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to approve, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Those minutes are approved. Next item on our agenda is the only item on our agenda tonight and for action, and that is a public hearing and potential action on rezoning from PPD S*1, a County A1 district, non/10 full capital, formerly Waganke property near Briggs Road on County Highway Q. So let's start out with, and by the way, I probably, maybe I got 3 emails today, maybe more, that were forwarded to me from various interested persons. I just barely had a chance to look at those. Maybe they will be here tonight to talk as well. We've had some discussion on this at the staff level. And Kevin Even, who is doing our planning engineering work on this, has recommended that we go ahead. Obviously, we are going to do a public hearing tonight. However, that we defer from taking any potential action tonight, given the fact that, well, information is still coming in. We're going to hear again from some people tonight. I can see there's a number of people on the screen, and so that is my. I don't know if I have the authority to just say that, but that's what I would like to see done, and I do not want to take action tonight. I think that we still have things to work out here. I think things appear to be going in a direction towards getting this accomplished, but certainly not everything tonight. I myself, as the chair, could make a decision on. I don't even know what I'm going to hear yet. So anyway, if anyone else, before we go on to actual public hearing, if anyone else, either staff or on this hearing tonight on our committee wants to speak to that, please do now.
I would simply note that we've also scheduled before the Common Council on April 19th a hearing, and regardless of if you decide to postpone action tonight, we still are going to go ahead with that hearing. If there's no action from this body prior to April 19th, they will have to postpone action then as well. But that hearing is scheduled before that body as well, as required by law.
Thanks, Mark.
Ken, it's Tom.
Yeah.
Just as Kevin is here also, but I think one of the things that he said in his memo is not only would it give, any staff or Kevin as a consultant time to kind of incorporate any thoughts that we hear tonight, but it would also give, for instance, Rachel time to be able to address any issues that may come up at the hearing, so that we're not acting prematurely. But at any rate, that was one of the things that Kevin did say. And I will also let you know that the applicant has agreed to extend the time period for us to review this until the end of May. And that was I'm very pleased that they did that because of the timing of some of our meetings that's coming up here. So that should give us plenty of time then to be able to digest all this and act. And And I want to thank them for doing that and sending that email so that we could at least breathe a little easier. And then at the board meeting, at our town board meeting, which is on the 18th, which by the way is my last town board meeting, we wouldn't have to take some action which we might not necessarily want to take just because our time period is going to run. So I know Rachel's here and she presented that to the applicants, and thank you for doing that. And that's, Ken, that's really all I got, other than any other introduction you might want to have for the public hearing. But normally, I think what we would do is just have the applicant make a presentation and then take public comment on
Yep, that would be fine, and then I'll just ask anyone on the committee tonight that feels we should take action tonight, just tell me now, so otherwise I'm going to consider that we're not going to do that tonight. Okay, I don't hear any one insisting to do that, so therefore let's go ahead and open the public hearing first, or get the presentation first. I forgot. Tell me what we're doing. What's our next order of business? Should I open the public hearing and then hear from the applicants?
Mark, how would you like to handle it?
You could, I think it's appropriate, you could open the hearing and then receive as input, you could receive as input the statement from the applicant. That's fine too. I think it's helpful to have that statement before you open it for public input.
Okay, very good. And Mark, let me just ask you too, since it would appear there's some people that would like to speak tonight. Do you have the rules for that?
The rules in terms of how long people are speaking,
Yeah,
et
yeah,
cetera.
that's my main thing. Yeah.
Given that there's not too many people present, we usually, the city allows 3 minutes. I don't know what town of Westport usually allows. But
Yep.
3 or 5,
Appropriate. Yep.
Okay, just want to make sure, and I know I'm trying to get all this procedural stuff done first. Will you, Mark, keep track of the time for that?
Sure. I don't anticipate, well, I will. Yes, I will.
Okay, I'm not going to like cut someone off at,
Yeah.
3 minutes and 1 second, but I'd like to know if we're at 3 minutes and 15 or 30, or we've hit 4 minutes or something like that.
Will do.
I would just like to know that, because
We'll be happy to do that.
yeah. Okay, all right. I'm not looking to truncate people, but there is a limit to it. So, okay, very good. I'm going to open a public hearing then. We can go ahead and hear from the applicants from Non-Tenable Capital and their presentation right now.
We'll give them a little more than 3 minutes.
Yeah, no, they're not limited. I mean, there's some limit, but
I was getting my timer ready just in case.
no.
Mark, you might have to help, of course, with putting up documents that she would like, or their application plus that letter, however.
Or would you like me to share my screen? Or would you like to share the screen, Rachel?
Not necessary. I was just traveling. I didn't get a chance to pull up the documents yet, but
Okay.
if we do need something, I could do that.
And I have the blue circle, blue spinning wheel right now. So I'm glad the meeting is still going, but I'm still having computer problems. If the meeting for some reason cuts off, I will then make sure we restart it again, but hopefully we don't have those problems. So, okay, go ahead, Rachel.
All right, Adam, is that all right if I kick it off here?
Go ahead, run with it.
Okay. Well, thanks for having us before your committee tonight. I know we just in the last month went to the Town Plan Commission, had a brief conversation with them. And I should back up for a moment. Sorry, I'm Rachel Holloway. I work as a planner with Veerbicker. So I'm working for Adam Nahn and Corey Lucky on this project. We're assisting them with their proposal, which is to subdivide this property in the town. The current owners of 8 acres of land that has access onto County Highway Q. And their proposal is to build 2 homes on that 8-acre parcel of land, which is technically 3 parcels currently. What we're proposing to do is to reconfigure that 3 unplatted parcels to take the largest piece of it and just divide that into 2 parts for them to build 2 single-family homes. This property is unique. It currently has zoning on it for planned development, and it's got approvals currently from a previous proposal where they could currently build 4 detached condominium homes on this property. So what we're requesting is really a sort of a down zoning in order to undo that prior approval and enable just the construction of 2 single-family homes. And a certified survey map would do the reconfiguration to divide the lot. We believe that this is consistent with the town's comprehensive plan, and I do appreciate Mr. Evans' staff report. We have reviewed that and are aware of the comments in there. We'd be happy to discuss any of these points tonight with the committee and in front of the public, in addition to any comments that people would like to bring. I do want to make a few other points about what we're proposing, because there has been some confusion in the weeks leading up to this meeting among the public and certain neighbors. And so just want to make clear what we're proposing and maybe clear the air on a couple of things that might have caused some concern. We know that this is planned for rural residential use in the town's long-range plan, which of course you've done in conjunction with the city. That's the proposed use of the property. We believe it's consistent there. In early consultation with town and city staff, we were proposing to zone the property to a district called ER1, which is an estate residential district. And I think one piece of this that might have caused some confusion is that we ended up targeting a different zoning district, not because our plans actually changed or the proposal had changed in any way, but because we thought that we had a parcel to work with that was 250 feet wide. It's the larger kind of north-south light green parcel that you could see on the screen if you can see that. When we actually did the survey work to look at the property and draw up the certified survey map, we learned that in fact, we didn't quite have that much. It was just less than 1 foot shy of that 250 foot width that would have enabled that ER1 zoning, because that requires a minimum 125 feet of width. They want to subdivide that tall north-south parcel, and that would be the location for the 2 homes kind of tucked in the north end of that lot. The other piece of the proposal here is the driveway access. So what's proposed and what we have included on the plans that we submitted to the town and the city is a shared driveway, which sometimes has been referred to as a road, but this is not actually a public road. This is a shared driveway, although it is a long one, that would be used to access County Highway Q in the location of what is currently a driveway. It's just more of a cleared, not a very improved state, but we're proposing to have a paved driveway in the same location as their current access, but it would run through these 2 outlots that kind of run long east-west back towards the larger parcel. And that driveway, because it's a long driveway and a shared one, would have to meet requirements of the fire district as well as the Wanakee EMS. So we have been working in our office through those entities to make sure that the design, as far as we've taken it, would comply with their requirements and make sure that there would be safe and efficient access for their equipment. That's another key piece of the proposal. So what you see there is reflective of the design standards that we have to meet for that driveway. We are, as far as other staff comments, I know Kevin had touched on the tree preservation and slopes. We have done a tree survey, so we have that information. That's not going to be a problem to follow up with staff on that. I just want to make that clear. In addition, the other comment related to building setbacks. So I mentioned the zoning that we're proposing. We are proposing a district because of that lot width issue. That was really a technicality, but we didn't want to try to draw some weird lot lines. So in order to avoid that, we just wanted to split it straight north-south. It's slightly shy of 125 feet wide. And again, in consultation with staff, so we submitted the application and said, look, is there another zoning district that might make sense so that we're not, we want a district that we can comply with. This is a pretty straightforward proposal, but what are the best options here? And so based on that lot width, as well as the building setback requirements of the ER1 district, which are the owners wish to have a little more flexibility than that, but not go too tight here. Staff had suggested possibly an R1 district, and we looked at that and thought that made sense. It's a single family residential district. However, we're not requesting setbacks that would be as tight as that R1 district, because that is a city district. It's typically used for more urban lots. But it's because of the property's weird configuration, we're trying to just find a district that enables single family homes, period, and also that we can draw the lot lines and that they would comply with the requirements of that district, which this would. The setbacks I would note for that we're proposing are, I mean, the front would be, it's a very deep lot, so the front setback is quite large, around 160 feet. We're proposing 46 feet, we're about around roughly 45 feet from the north lot line coming off that hill. That's larger than what would be required by the R1 zoning, which the zoning would require 30 feet. We would go more than that. The R1 district requires an 8-foot side setback. That's never been, you know, as tight as we would be proposing. We're actually proposing 15 feet, which is nearly double the minimum setback that the zoning would require. And that's something we'd be willing to put on the certified survey map. That is what we're proposing. So side setbacks, the building envelopes, the proposed areas are shown on the concept plan that we submitted, and that's included in the packet. Now, that's not an actual house footprint. That's just the area that we would request approval to work within. And that's something that could be put on the CSM if you so require. And I'm just think if there's anything else. Drainage as well as a piece of this. So our concept plan shows some stormwater improvements along the south side of the driveway. We anticipate there would be something as well needed on the larger parcels towards the east end where that residential lot goes north-south. But that would be subject, of course, to Town of Westport stormwater regulations. And we would be meeting all of those. We're not at that point of the design yet. So right now it's just very preliminary. We know we have to make space for that. And that would have to be done in conjunction with staff. And I believe that is what staff was proposing. That's what we've discussed to date and what is in the report. We're certainly happy to work through that, but we're at this time just requesting the ability to move forward with this land division, just to create the 2 lots, get zoning established with certain restrictions, you know, things that we would have to follow up with staff. We are requesting, though, a larger setback than what staff is recommending. So the combined 45-foot side setback for these lots is, we feel, too restrictive based on the configuration of this lot, which is just, you know, fairly deep and narrow. There is a lot of space, but it is wooded, and they are proposing to keep a lot of trees on site. That's part of the value here. These landowners do want privacy. And so I think those are the key pieces of what we're proposing. And feel free, Adam, you know, and Corey, to weigh in if I've missed anything here.
No, I think you hit the main points there, Rachel. In addition, I know the other thing that was proposed, and Corey and I had talked about this, was the shared driveway coming up the larger lot. Corey and I looked at that, and we'd be willing to, instead of going with the existing path that was already kind of clear cut on the west side of the lot, we'd be looking at doing a lot that would be in the middle and then eventually separating off as well, just to try to limit the amount of asphalt that would be needed. And that's something that we've talked. I don't think we've provided that yet, but I know we've talked about it. The photo that you're showing right there, Mark, above, was just the former trees. And actually this map you see right here is the yellow. Up, go down there, page 10 there.
So I'm on page 10 now.
Yep. So if you go to the to your right, yep, that's the main road coming in from Cube. But on the right side of that, there's a yellow line that showed the existing path of what is there currently. And we would avoid that and kind of go more down the middle of the path, or the middle of the 2 lots, and eventually divide off. We had talked about that as well, just because I know there were some concerns about privacy to the lot to the west. And then also I know that came up in Kevin's memo that he sent to us as well.
So in other words, you would follow the new shared lot line with the driveway.
Yeah, kind of in the middle there between the 2 lots. Yes, and
Right.
then eventually it would divide off, just to create, you know, with these being nicer houses, we'd want our own separate driveway, just to kind of give it a little bit privacy as well amongst each other. But yeah, we would take that up and create more of a joint. So instead of taking it all the way on the left-hand side like it showed currently.
Okay, anything else from from the proponents here? All right, great. Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead unless our staff has any questions of Ms. Holloway, Mr. Nan, Mr. Lucky. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and continue with our public hearing, and that is for the public comments. So is there a way? I'm sorry. were you
Ken,
gonna
if I
talk
may
about-
make, if I may make a quick comment. So into the record, we are adding the statements we received prior to the meeting. And the reason I wanted to mention this is so that anyone who's present knows that their statements are part of the record. So we had statements from, they were in your packet, from Karen Teskey Osborne, Denise Isnor, Sam Garlock, Angie Lanius, sorry if I'm misspelling that, Valerie Wojciak, sorry, Peggy Holly, and then we received a statement that ultimately came from, well, this one from Jeff Murray, but later on we got more. Oh, here we go. You know what? I didn't delete the old statement apparently. Sorry, I'm having an off day apparently. So here is the one I sent to you and updated today. Let me just go back through this. Holly Murray. Then we got this statement from BBCC via attorney Richard Schmidt, who I see is present. Katie Winner, Denise O'Rourke. And then here's the statement I was just looking for from Jonathan, John and Angie Lanius. It's a revised statement. And a revised statement from Valerie Wojciak. I think that's it. And then we got by this Boardman Clark's statement from BBCC, which you'll probably hear from the applicant today. So I just wanted to note those for the record for the minutes.
Thank you, Mark.
Yep.
All right, so my best thing, let's see, how am I gonna determine, I haven't done this on Zoom before. How am I gonna determine who wants to talk?
Well, people can either raise their hand. There's a feature on, but since it's a small group, Mr. Chair, you may, maybe just invite people to either raise their hand, or if they don't know how to do that, they can just speak up.
Sure.
Anybody who wants to raise their hand, maybe we go that way first, and then we'll give everyone an opportunity.
Let me just say, for anyone that wants to speak, I would like your camera on. I don't want to be looking at a black screen with a name on it, and I see a black screen with a guest on it. So I'm ready to go, and I'm just going to go down here on a list and start calling. And I see Joe Bichette's here. Joe, I see, is ready to talk. Let me say for purposes of the town of Westport, Joe was a member of our planning commission. He did resign from the planning commission, so he could speak as I think an adjoining property owner today. I think he was elected last night as the town board supervisor, but he certainly has not been. He has not taken that seat yet. So I, as the chair, feel okay about having Joe speak, and I'm going to turn to him first. And I just took up your 3 minutes, Joe. No, sorry. Go
start
ahead.
the timer.
Go ahead and start
Hey,
talking.
Ken, it's Wilson. Before you start, just so people know, in the reaction button that's at the bottom, if you hit the reaction button, there's a raise hand feature. If you do that, you start to line up. And I think then everybody can see it, including like Mark and I and you, Ken.
Sure. Okay.
And that really then starts to really help with people who want to comment. So if people would go to that, it'd be helpful. And then you can take those people in like that order if you have the participant pane up. Anyway, just a suggestion.
Okay, that's fine. I'm gonna go ahead and start with Joe. He's got his mic on. So Joe Pichette, go ahead.
Great. Thank you for the opportunity to address the commission here. Just wanted to point out a few things. I know Ms. Holloway had indicated that there was some errors. Looking back, I'm not sure how those errors were made because the plat has always been platted at 248.9 feet. Looking back to the Mayo survey that was done all the way back in 2003. And they incorrectly filed for an ER1 last month, and I think that did create some of the confusion, and that was an error on the planner that had submitted those plans. What I would like to say is I went through the Mayo Corporation GDP SIP submittal from January 2nd of 2003, which this PDD was agreed to offer. And using the scale off of the drawings that was there, the buffer from our property here, which is immediately to the north and to the west of the applicant's property, there was, using the scale that was provided, depending on little rounding here, 37.5 to 38 foot of buffer from the property line, our property line, to the nearest building. We would make a request that that 37, 38 foot buffer may be maintained, not the 15 feet the applicant is proposing. The 15 feet basically plants a house right on the property line. We're rural up here. We moved up here for the opportunity to be rural. We want to stay rural. We don't want to feel like we're in a neighborhood. The other things that I would also note is in that Mayo Corporation document, there was a 30-foot dense tree, existing tree buffer that was going to be maintained, which means that there wasn't going to be any landscaping or anything in that first 30 feet of the 38 feet. So that would allow the applicant 8 feet of landscaping between their house and that 30-foot dense vegetation buffer. Also, I'd like to note that the building envelopes were 48 by 70. If you multiply it by 3 buildings, which was going to go across, that's 144 feet, which would, if you divide that by 2, those buildings should only be 71 feet wide if we want to be consistent with the GDP as approved. Also note that the 80-foot setback from the north end of the lot was in the original survey from Mayo Corporation, and we also asked that that be maintained in order to maintain those trees on that hill slope so that there is not any runoff. I'd also make the request to move the road so that we don't have lights in our house or in our driveway, and I appreciate that the applicant is willing to do so to the center of the lot. We would also ask for plantings along the lot line where that was in order to provide some screening. We have done our best over the last 10 years to put plantings in there, and we ask that they do the same on that side. We do have some questions. I see a tree survey was done, but I don't see very many ribbons out there, so that we ask that there is some sort of detailed information as to how many trees are going to be preserved. I don't like the words try, because try is kind of ambiguous, and we would like to know exactly what is going to be removed. We would like the opportunity to work with the applicants on this in order to find an agreeable situation here. Ideally, we would like to see that lot, instead of divided down the north-south, and we would like to see that lot divided east-west and give proper spacing for the home so it's more consistent with the Briggs Road neighborhood. None of our homes are all that close together. We have an 80-foot easement agreement between us and the house to the east. We can't be any closer than 80 feet. We had always intended that we would have some space on that side. And when we reviewed the documents when we bought this property, a couple of things that stood out to us was that roughly 40-foot buffer. And also,
we're at 3.5 minutes, by the way, just so you know.
I'll finish up, Mark. And also in the applicant for the GDP, it was noted that there was going to be 0.33 child per condo, which would end up with 1.3 children versus the 6 that the 2 applicants are proposing, which we're not going to, we're not fretting over that, but it does weigh into our consideration here on the quietness of the neighborhood. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it. Okay, so let's see. Has anyone else raised their hand? Nobody else has. Let me go down. So the next person I can kind of see down my list, I'm going down, might be, oops.
Hey, Ken, actually, Sarah Pichette has her hand raised.
Oh, why don't I see Sarah Pichette's hand raised? Oh, there she is. She jumped to the top. Hello, Sarah.
Hi.
We're ready for you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I just want to say that Joe's good at explaining all this, so I defer to him on everything. But if anybody wants to come up to our house, I would invite you all up here to get a feel for how I think outrageous this is. They're going to be, our living space is on that side of the house. We have 3 patios facing that side of the house. It's all windows. And they're going to be right on top of us. And you have all this, you have 8 acres, and they're going to, they clearly don't have a problem being on top of one another, but this is just so upsetting. I would invite you all to come up here just to eyeball it, to get a real feel for what this is going to look like. And they're going to be probably really tall homes because their lots are going to be so narrow. So that's going to look really weird. I don't know. I invite you all to come up here and see, just eyeball it for yourself.
Okay. Thank you, Sarah.
Thanks.
Okay, Rachel, you have your hand up, but did you want to say something now?
I guess if I may, I could respond with a little bit of info on the trees and also the house height that was brought up.
Okay,
And-
Rachel, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Can we
Sure.
just get everybody in and then?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
yes.
agree with that.
Sorry.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, very good. So
Thanks, Steve.
I'm just going down. I see Richard Schmidt here. That's Attorney
Yes.
Richard Schmidt, I believe. And if you want to speak now, please do so.
Thank you very much. I've been trying for the last 10 minutes how to figure out how to raise my hand, and
That's why I said, just go ahead and talk. I think
still can't figure it out. But
Go ahead.
I guess I'm an attorney, which maybe explains why I can't figure things out. We represent BBCC, which owns all of the land that underlies Bishop's Bay Golf Course, and Sam Jacobson has developed a lot of this area. But we submitted a letter, which is part of the record, and we wanted people to understand that. But we really had 2 bases of objection. One is the proposed location of these homes. And this would be on the ridge, which the construction and potential runoff could affect greatly the golf course. And yeah, I have to say, there's self-interest here. I mean, we're worried about the golf course. We want to make sure the golf course stays in great shape. What the maps don't show you is the topography. And if I wished I had a topo map here to show it, but it goes greatly uphill. And I think all of the owners around there are going to understand that. So we are worried about that. Just the proposed location being so far north, really just hitting that ridge and affecting us. The other one, it has to do with the fact that there is the easement that goes, and in fact, it's shown right on the map that you have up right now. My computer screen's pretty small, but you can see on the very bottom part right there, yeah, the easement goes over, and that serves the golf course land, BBC's land. And in the original application, there was a statement saying that, well, the applicant owns all the lands affected by the easement and can then make changes to it as they see fit, essentially. And I pointed out that that's not true. The easement actually extends to the land to the east, and the land to the east is included within that area. And BBCC is, at least at this point, I mean, unless there's an acceptable proposal, it's not willing to make any changes to the easement. And the easement's quite clear that no changes can be made without its written consent. Randy Manning is on the call too. He's an advisor to BBCC and may have additional comments, but I wanted to state those objections for the record, and I thank you all.
Thank you, Richard. Appreciate that. I see Randy Manning, and the easiest way for me now to do this is when people have turned their mute off, they're unmuted, and I can see them. So it looks like Mr. Manning, you're up if you'd like to speak now.
Good evening, everybody. My name's Randy Manning. I'm here on behalf of BBCC LLC. As Richard Schmidt mentioned, we own the property, or the LLC owns the property in which the golf course leases. Rick brought up the houses on top. If you notice, I believe it's a 10 or 15-foot drop off from the houses to the golf course. There's absolutely no way that a design can take place that drainage will not go onto the golf course. I just can't see that happening in any way, shape, or form. We do have the maintenance shed there also, which is on Lot B of the easement that Rick referenced. And as part of the overall easement, and what really bothers me is that this easement has not been mentioned in the application, especially after it was brought up. The easement is quite clear. It cannot be amended. It cannot be moved. Nothing can happen without BBCC's written consent. And we were not even approached on this until Friday afternoon. So as you see in the letter that we submitted, we are asking for outright denial of this project until some items get addressed. And I guess that's about the gist of it at this point. And thank you for your time this evening.
All right, thank you, Mr. Manning. Now I'm looking for who else wants to talk. So we've got, who am I seeing? I'm seeing John Waginski, Valerie Zibel, Linnaeus, Mary Mannering, I don't know, is here. I see a guest, so I don't know who the guest is, but if the guest wants to speak, you need to identify yourself so we know who you are.
Ken, it's me, Commissioner Paulson.
Oh.
I'm on my phone, and for some reason, it doesn't give a name ability to adjust my name. So
Okay, and you've got your hat on.
I'm outside, and it's spotty internet. I'm listening to everything. But I'm muting my camera to save bandwidth. So.
All right, thank you.
This is his last meeting, so he's already transitioning into the guest role.
Transitioning to black.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will call for anyone else who I see that is appearing tonight, and names I see, who wants to speak to this. And I'll give you that opportunity now, because in a moment I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing, but I will give Ms. Holloway an opportunity to respond first. Okay, I see a couple of people on my screen with maybe three. And it's I'm saying this as Linnaeus, but you can correct me and you'll need to unmute yourself. There you go. Thank you.
Exactly right. I think Howard had some questions you wanted to ask.
Yep. This is Howard Eisner from the Shorecrest Development. And we've got a couple of questions. One relative to I guess if it's rezoned as R1, I guess our concern is what happens if 10 years down the road someone else wants to buy the property from these two parties. Our understanding of R1 is it's pretty liberal. They could come up there and then all of a sudden put in a 9-person housing development up there and things like that. We would like some restrictions in there that say that even future owners can't do anything other than what we've agreed to here today. And then my other question is more for Rachel. We're interested a bit in the drainage easement that's here. What we're envisioning here, is this going to be like an open ditch type thing? And then as well, those stormwater detention facilities, we'd certainly be interested in seeing what type of cross section you're thinking of those. I'm assuming those are dry ponds and things like that. And then I guess kind of along those lines, Rachel, my understanding, I work for Strand Associates. My understanding is the CSM really only legally establishes the lot lines, and the information that's drawn on here isn't necessarily legally binding beyond this point. So I don't know that, is that road really going to stay there going forward or not, or any of the other people drawn on here?
Can we get those written?
Okay, thank you. And we're going to let Rachel Holloway speak when we get done with everybody else. Anyone else in your group? Because I see 3 people there.
Yeah, and we got actually a few others as well, but
Okay.
I'll speak up.
Well,
So,
anyone who wants to identify themselves and get on camera and talk, please do so now.
yep, so this is John Linnaeus, and I guess speaking for myself and my wife, I think our main concern, and I think it was one of the main concerns of most of the individuals that share the lot line in the Shorecrest neighborhood, was what was the plan with the lots directly adjacent, so behind our lot lines. And I would say, again, speaking for myself and my wife, I think we were happy with what we have heard so far. So we liked the rezoning to an agricultural type status. Our understanding of the old plan, or maybe you'd call it the existing plan, was that there could be some structures built in the area right behind our lots. So we feel that the proposal is much better in that type of respect. Another one of the points that was important to us is in the early days, we had heard there was going to be some sort of road beyond like the unpaved path that's there right now. And I think the answers that we've gotten in terms of it is going to be a paved path, but it's going to be more of like a driveway and a private driveway type of situation, as opposed to a quote unquote road that numerous cars are driving down on a regular basis. And then the third point, the last one that was important to us, is how many housing developments are going to be on any of the lots that were shown in the diagrams. And I think we were happy with the answer that it's limited to 2 single-family residences. It was something that was surprising to us to learn that it was already approved for 4 different housing developments that could be like condo style developments. So this plan in that respect is a significant improvement. So again, we were primarily interested, from a self-interest standpoint, what is happening along the lot lines that are adjacent to our property? What is that going to mean in terms of traffic? What is the plan going to mean in terms of increased personnel back in that wooded area? And on all of those, so far, we've liked the improvements or the proposal that we've heard.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else in your group?
Hi, I'm Denise Eisner. I just had one quick question. We sort of found out about this sort of accidentally, all of us. And my question is, how are we supposed to find out about this? Does the zoning commission normally send out any notifications at any point in time in the future for this project? Are there any notifications going forward for steps? What's the process? Because this was just sort of an accidental find for us. Thank you.
Thanks.
I can respond to that too when the public hearing is done.
Sure. Thanks, Mark. Well, yeah, we'll turn to you on that one. Anyone else in the Lennius group there?
No, I think you're good.
All right. Thank you so much. Thanks for all appearing. Okay. Anyone else that's I see on board here who has not spoken yet? And I think that's maybe just John Wagenke and Valerie Zybel. Hopefully I said that right. Okay, I don't see anyone else. I'm gonna go ahead because we're not gonna be taking any action tonight. I will in the 4 corners of our public hearing turn to Rachel Holloway to answer any questions. I can answer one question from me as a member of this committee, and that question was, how do we know what would happen with any the land that's zoned R1? And I can tell you that anything that would be approved here would have a deed restriction on it that would allow no further division. That's just typical for what we would do in town Westport on these types of divisions or divisions of any kind that have concerns. So that's my opinion, and that's what I would see. And so you can never say never about anything, but certainly in terms of how real estate works, that's the best that we would do, and it would certainly have some significant force and actually prevent any further division. So that's my comment, Rachel.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was trying to jot down the comments and the issues that were listed here by various people, so I'll try to touch on these. to the extent I'm able. And, you know, Adam, Corey, if you have anything to chime in on here, feel free. There was a mention of the ER1 being an error. I mean, that was our initial advice from town staff. So we had prepared all of our applications based on what staff had suggested. And yes, we looked into that. And as we looked through the details, as the things came together right at the last minute to make our submittal, that's when we realized we were just a little bit short. So that kind of thing just happens, you know, as we're pulling these things together. There was a mention of a request for a tree buffer along the lot lines. My understanding based on working with our clients is that they would be willing to plant additional trees here and certainly ensure some vegetative buffers. Again, they value privacy as well. They want to make this a site of their future homes. So this is not something that they want to, you know, make an unpleasant place to be for themselves or their neighbors. But the specifics, I think we were requesting that could be worked out with town staff, as is suggested in the staff report from Kevin Even. That's typically what I would be used to seeing in proposals like this. That's something we can certainly work through. A discussion of the prior GDP, the plan that was approved for this project. I mean, I mention it because it is certainly what the land currently has approved on it. I think that does matter because we are requesting 2 homes on this property versus 4. Yes, we'd be willing to deed restrict that or indicate that on the CSM, however that the town would require that. I don't see any issue there. But beyond that, my team, I did not look into the prior plan in terms of specifics of what was on there because that's not what we're proposing. We're trying to do away with that old approval, take it down a notch and just get approval for 2 homes. So as far as other specifics of whatever Mayo Corp had prepared for this site, I'm not able to speak to those details because that's not our proposal before you tonight. Certainly, I'm not aware of any. I guess not going to get into restricting the number of children who will live here. That's not, I don't typically see that as a purview of zoning. I don't think that's appropriate to comment on right now. The height of the homes is an important point here because of the terrain, of course, and the character of the neighborhood. These owners want to build something nice here for themselves. They're not looking to just necessarily tower over their neighbors. We've been in discussions about, and we're not involved in the home design. The homes have not been designed yet. I will point that out. This is just simply the early stages of preparing the site so that they can design a home to go on the site. But my understanding is that the zoning would typically allow for any home, including any of the ones that are out here. I think the maximum height is 35 feet. That's not what we're proposing, not what the owners are looking to build. But that relates to the question of building setbacks, and they didn't want to request too large a setbacks on the site because that relates to the height of the home in terms of how much space they would have to live, right? If the setbacks get too restrictive on site, they would be looking to build up, and under zoning that they would be allowed to build up to 35 feet, but that's not the desire at this time. I just want to point out that there is some trade-off there when we think about building setbacks and the height of the potential homes that could go here. There's a practical, concerns that they would have to think through here on home design. Runoff is absolutely important. I did touch on that briefly. Again, we have looked at it preliminarily, so we have some idea of the space we would need for stormwater. Certainly there would be some kind of call it a ditch or swaling along here to direct water to the appropriate places. I'm not an engineer, so I don't want to get too into the specifics on that one, or I'd be ahead of my skis here, but we certainly know we would need some kind of ponds. Our plans indicate some native plantings. Westport's got some of the most stringent stormwater standards around, and that's something we will absolutely be complying with if we can go forward with the design and take a closer look at this. The stormwater, I can say that it would not direct more water toward the properties to the south. We've been addressing comments related to those properties as we go here. They would capture water from the driveway and part of the wooded area on this property and manage that appropriately. It should not direct more water to the south. It should capture that and really direct the water out towards Highway Q is my understanding of generally how that would work. But of course, we'd have to get into the details more as a part of next steps on this if we can proceed. The driveway easement, that's an important one. I didn't start with that one, and that's more for the owners to speak to. That's really a private matter between landowners. I had mentioned it in the cover letter that we submitted because it's something that shows up on the it is an existing easement on the property. So we do show that on the certified survey map, I believe, and certainly on our concept plan. I can't say more to that, Adam, as far as where that will go. That was just based on my understanding at the time, was that the owners were looking to probably modify that easement, or maybe not allow access further to the east, because the golf course to the east, actually, when the easement was created back in the 1950s, that property, I think, needed this easement to get access to Q. Now there's a Signature Drive, there are other road access that the golf course uses. Beyond that, I'm not speaking to that. I didn't modify the statement about it because I did not have any additional information. And so whether or not that easement stays or gets replaced or moved or revoked between the private landowners is, I don't believe that would affect our proposal before this commission, but the rezoning and the certified survey map, I mean, those could go ahead either way, whether that easement, remains in place or not, but that's, those are the only parties to that easement, is my understanding. It's between the landowners. And I believe that that can be, hopefully resolved here. Trying to see if I addressed everything that people had mentioned here. Yeah, we talked about deed restriction, prospect of additional homes. We're not trying to propose that, so that we would assume that restriction would be in place in some form. And I'll leave it there. I've been talking a lot.
Rachel, I got one note I'd like to add. The comment was made that they don't think both houses should be allowed to be on the north side. The concern is by putting one on the north and one on the south, really twofold. Number one, from a value standpoint, right? The value of the lot is obviously with the height of the lot, being on the higher part of the land from a view looking north. In addition, there is a golf shed on the south side of the lot, as well as this easement that is currently there. So that is the reason why there's not one on the north and one on the south. And that is why we show both houses on the north side, how we currently have it mapped out.
Hey, Ken, it's Wilson.
Yeah, Wilson, go ahead.
I think that you have, my impression is now you're kind of circling back and getting more comments from the landowner. At some point, probably would be wise, at least in my opinion, to close the public hearing so we could move on to the next part of this, if you wish. I don't know, Mark, what you think, but.
I was about to say that too, and I wanted to add the commentary that we have over 2 pages of addresses to whom we sent both hearing notices, the one for this hearing as well as the one for the 19th. And a couple of the speakers were were included in those mailing labels. So they should have arrived by US mail.
Okay, great. Thanks, Mark. Okay, unless there's anyone else that wants to speak at the public hearing, I'm gonna go ahead and close it. Anyone else?
I did want to say just one comment in response to Rachel's comments, and that is the easement. BBCC is one of the parties to the easement as a successor, and the fact that there may possibly be other access is irrelevant. That easement cannot be modified or altered or terminated or anything else without its consent, and it should be shown on any CSM. That's all. Thanks.
Yep, thank you. All right. That's it then. Unless I see or hear somebody else, and I do not, I'm going to go ahead and close public hearing. So I think if we are just hang on a second, if we are not going to take action tonight, would we want a motion to defer this? Is that what would be appropriate?
Yeah, I think it's a motion to postpone action.
Postpone action. Okay.
And receive further comments from staff and your consultants.
Okay, so before we do that, I know that I was told if there's going to be any further comments by staff, by the presenters, let's go ahead and get that in now, though I don't want to get in an argument about things that were said or not said. I mean, on the easement, I understood what Rachel Holloway said was the easement is a private issue. So, I mean, the easement is on the certified survey map or whatever document we're dealing with, and it isn't our business. We don't tell people that they have to change easements unless, well, I can't think of when we would. So, that's between the proponents and the golf course to get figured out, and hopefully they will. That's my comment on that. Anyone else have anything else? Oh, no?
No, I just think I don't, of course, I'm going to make a comment even though I don't have one. It seems that if you're going to defer this, it's just a matter of making sure that you have Mark set up the next date for your meeting. And I'm going to do something which I don't like to do, which is assume that it's going to be after both you're going to be losing one of your longtime, very able commissioners, and after you're going to be losing your probably less than able town administrator. But Kevin is on board.
You need to flip those.
Yeah, okay. But Kevin is also on
You're both
board.
very able.
And he has commented here, and Mark is been working in our situation long enough that he understands how we get along. So between the two of them, I'm sure that they can make sure that they cover you for what you need. And Mark, I asked this before, I'm just going to ask it again. Do we have a replacement for guest that might be coming in place, or?
We don't yet have a replacement for, what's his name? I guess we'll call him guest.
So right now we just have the 4 members really for this matter.
Well, right. It's going to be up to the mayor to appoint a replacement from our plan commission, and said guest is leaving our plan commission, so there'll be a vacancy there. Much to our dismay, I would add, publicly. And so that appointment probably won't be filled until early May at the earliest. So, and you can only appoint citizen, according to our ordinance, you can only appoint citizen members, non-elected officials to this body from the city. I don't know why our ordinance reads that way, but it does. So we have some limitations for who can be appointed.
And then the only other thing, Ken, that I have is that I did put this on your board agenda for the next meeting, which would be the 18th of April. But now that we've received an extension to the end of May, and there's not going to be apparently no recommendation here from this meeting, it'll just be, again, postponed until, you've already postponed it until you get a report from the Joint Zoning Committee on the item. So you won't have a report, so it'll just have to be postponed again, and we'll make sure that gets done at that meeting, which I think you might be absent for. So I just thought I better state that as well, because I don't want people to get all excited when they see it on the agenda. And if that, I think that was appropriate to state. So that's all I got. Thank you.
Okay, and I don't believe I'm going to be at our next board meeting on, I think it's the 19th. So, but I would assure anyone who's here, who's proponents of it, who's commented, who's a member, who's going to continue as member, that we will do our job, and we know what we're doing, and we will miss Mr. Wilson and we will miss Mr. Paulson, but we will. We're experienced at what we do, and we will do it, do our job and do it fair, and hopefully we'll do it right. So that's my comment. Anybody else have any comments for us? If not, if someone would like to make a motion to postpone this to our next item. Oh, sorry, Mark, did you have an actual date for us?
I do not yet.
Okay.
I do not.
Okay,
Are Wednesdays generally, do they work for the 3 of you who are present? Aside from guest?
Yes.
I mean, theoretically, guest continues until the end of April. So we can have.
And you did have, well, at least it's on my calendar, soon to be removed and not be my calendar anymore, but generally you would have had the 27th at 6 as your regular meeting.
Yeah, except I think I have a conflict on that day. The 28th, you said?
No, I said the 27th, but
27th,
again, I will be here. So,
Yes,
it
that
may be
works for
better
me.
off with however you would schedule things, sending some kind of scheduled meeting times that are available for probably you and
those of
Kevin
you
for
who
sure.
Are those of you who are present, can you meet on the 26th, or 27th, excuse me, at 6?
Let me just see here.
I can.
That was a Ken,
Yeah,
Randy?
yes, I can.
All right, thank you.
I already have on my calendar, Westport Middleton, JZC if needed by Tom Wilson.
All right, well then we'll put you down as a yes,
Yes,
okay? And Randy? And Kurt, you would still be a member.
Yes,
All
I
right.
can do it on the 27th.
And Cindy, how about you?
I'm good. I can do that.
Okay. All right, thank you all. And is there a motion to postpone?
Can I
Sorry,
ask,
I will make that motion, sorry.
Who
Or
made-
I
Kurt did?
think Cindy wanted to ask something, and then Rachel Holloway has her hand up.
all right, so here, we have a motion to postpone. Can we get a second on that? And then we'll just.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you, Cindy. Go ahead, Cindy.
I just wanted to clarify, so in everything that we're looking at, I don't need to consider the easement. Do we need to read that? Do we need to review that? Is that something that we can just set aside for now?
Tom, Mark?
Well, the easement's in play. It's in place. It can't be removed by a certified survey map. It can be removed if the parties agree to it. Is it something that we could request the owners to show? We could do that. But it's in play no matter what you do. I think that's what everyone has been trying to say, unless it's what Rick Schmidt has been trying to say. And that's exactly what Rachel tried to say. And it's what Ken tried to say. So we need to consider that it's there, and we probably don't want to say your building envelope should include that part of the property unless they remove it. But
Okay.
I guess, Cindy, there's other considerations that raise to a higher level here, and that's just something that's in place and it's going to stay in place. So
Could I request that it gets put in our packet for the next meeting, please?
sure,
It
sure.
is in the packet.
Yeah,
It
and it
is.
was, yeah,
I
and it was
saw
actually Mark showed it
1982, is
here.
that
too.
the one?
Oh, I thought it was in the packet. I'm sorry.
It was.
Wasn't it?
I thought it was too, Mark.
I don't
but
have the page number, but it's kind of in the middle, I believe.
Oh,
We'll make sure it's there for you, Cindy. Plus,
Okay.
Rick
I saw one
sent
from
another
1982,
letter too. So
but,
Here it is. It's here.
but that's the easement
Oh,
with
oh.
that Bishop's Bay.
No, you're right. We'll make sure it's in there.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Cindy. Okay, who else was gonna say something? Rachel?
Yes, I just had a question to get a little more clarification here, especially since we're talking about April 27th. And if you're postponing, what exactly is it we need to bring? Because a lot of the staff comments, I understand we need to work with staff, the different entities here to get, I suppose, are we working towards getting staff comfortable recommending approval prior to the next meeting? Or are some of these things, like what does the committee actually need to see at the next meeting in order to feel comfortable voting on this? So we're not stuck in some, questions of due process or whatever. I mean, we want to just know what do we need to do here what level of detail do we have clear marching orders?
We're gonna consider and take action on your request. If your request is modified from what you have presented to us tonight, that is what we would take action on. I don't anticipate that it's going to be deferred again. We've heard from the public, we've heard from you, but if it's modified, then I'm assuming staff will know and staff will tell us, and that's what we will be considering.
Okay.
Rachel, we'll try to get together with you and we have all the issues listed here, and perhaps Mark and Kevin can talk to you a little bit about if there's anything that they want to see changed, and we change it, or if you don't want to, you don't. I guess that's pretty simple.
Sounds like a plan.
Sorry, but it won't be me.
It's all right. I know there's a lot of things changing. I just want to put a point on it so we're clear here.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. That's good. Happy we could clear that up. And now, is there any discussion on the motion to postpone? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 And we have, that motion passes to postpone to our next agenda, which is going to be April 27th, where we will discuss and take action upon what is before us. And I think all we have left tonight is to adjourn. Unless everybody wants to stay on.
Hey, Ken, I got one. Can I say one more thing? I already said it, but I want to say it
You'll do
again.
it anyway, even if I tell
Thank
you
you.
no.
Yes, you will. I will do it because I'm a short timer, so it doesn't really matter. Thank you so much to Kurt Paulson. Thank you. Thank you. You've a great member here and a great member of the City Plan Commission. And we frankly owe you a debt, and your service has been great and certainly appreciated. I just want to pass that on from me, and I'm sure everybody else shares the same thing.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Tom. I'm cheating because I'm watching my son at bat. Middleton is playing Wanakee right now.
Well, we know
Baseball.
who's going to win that one, so sorry.
Well, Wanakee is up, so, but thank you, Tom.
All right.
Well,
And
thanks,
congratulations on your retirement.
And we'll see you again, Kurt, on the 27th, and then we can all say the same things to you. And Wilson, we'll see him again. I'll see him again, so.
Kurt, I changed your name. I took the liberty of changing your name just now. So, all righty.
Can I have a motion to adjourn, please?
Motion to adjourn.
I need a second on that.
Second,
Motion made, second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. We are adjourned. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for appearing.